Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, no.
Do you want to?
Sorry. I'll let you.
Next one. I'm excited and I feel relaxed and I'm ready to party. Don't say sorry. You don't need to do that. You don't need to apologize. It's a fucked up female habit. You don't need to be sorry for anything ever.
Can you guess what every woman's worst nightmare is?
I don't have rage issues!
I have nothing to prove to you.
When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
I say when it comes to stardom and Lauren, there are no accidents.
Hi, Karen Peterson.
Hello and welcome to Citizen Dame, the podcast where it is a brand new year and we are so glad. I'm Karen Peterson, joined by Lauren Humphries Brooks.
Hello. Yeah, slowly crawling out of 2025. Oh my God.
Oh, we made it. We made it. Oh, yeah. What a year that was.
Yeah.
How are things looking so far for you in 2026?
I mean, I predict nothing. I believe in nothing. I will say that, like, I woke up on New Year's Day in a city run by an actually competent mayor. So that's nice.
Like, that's so good. Congratulations.
I'm excited by it. Like, I do actually have hope, which is nice. I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but it is that, like, sensation of, like, okay, someone is in office for once who actually seems to want to do good and, like, in good ways and good things. And that's that. I'm going to applaud that. So it's already we started off with an inauguration that didn't make me want to die. So that's nice.
Yay. That's
it's
good.
It's already a better year.
Things are looking up.
About you, Karen?
It's going all right. Nothing exciting here. It's been pouring rain for 4 days. So, it's fine. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic. I usually am at the start of a new year, and within a few weeks that either continues or changes. So we'll see how it goes. But right now I'm feeling like, okay, all right, we're starting to see some good things happen. So let's hope we can keep that up.
Yes, I think that's the goal.
Yeah. So we took a week off because of the holidays, but also we just in general took a break from other stuff too. We both were off on breaks from work, and yeah, I don't know about you. I watched a bunch of stuff. So let's talk a little bit first about some things that we watched over the break. So how about you?
Well, I watched a number of different things. I mean, we watched, like, I was home with my parents, and so we watched some of the sort of Christmas staples, like White Christmas, Muppets Christmas Carol, stuff like that, which is always fun. But I actually just yesterday finished watching Death by Lightning, the Netflix limited series, and it's very, very good. It's about the very short presidency and assassination of James Garfield. And it's a portion of American history that I had no knowledge of whatsoever. It's based on a book. I'm assuming, from at least from what I've read about the series itself, that this is pretty accurate to what went on in that time period. But it's fascinating, fantastic performances. It's Michael Shannon, Nick Offerman, James, God damn it, he played Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. And I can't remember his name now, but he's wonderful.
In which Pride and Prejudice?
The one with Keira Knightley.
Oh, that's Matthew McFadden.
Matthew McFadden, that's who it is, not James. So yeah, it's a fantastic series. It's 4 episodes, about an hour each, and just really incredibly well done and fascinating and very, very painfully topical. In a really fascinating way. So I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. So yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
and
it's been on my list. I need to watch it. A couple of people have recommended it to me. So
it came up for me because I wanted something with several episodes that was like 50 minutes each, so I didn't have to commit myself to like a 2-hour film or whatever. And that one kept on popping up on my Netflix. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. This is a good cast, right? This sounds like, this is really, really it. And the first episode, I was like, I am riveted by the state of post-Civil War politics right now, with zero knowledge of like who James Garfield was or anything like that. But it's really well done. So I do recommend that one. And then I also watched a film from 1942 called Keeper of the Flame, which is also incredibly topical. If anyone has seen this film, it's Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, and basically what happens is a kind of really beloved politician and great American thinker and hero gets killed in a road accident. And Spencer Tracy plays this reporter who decides, like, I want to write the story of this guy. He's just come back from Europe in the midst of World War II, having seen all of this horrific, having seen the concentration camps, etc. And he's just desperate to kind of something truly hopeful. And so he begins investigating this man to kind of write a biography of him. And begins to uncover some things that are not as great as he wanted them to be. And again, incredibly and almost painfully topical film. And in this case, it's from 1942. And it's really well done. It's on HBO Max and Tubi and a couple of other places. So like I very much recommend that one. Sort of someone on Letterboxd called it the best type of propaganda, and it actually is. So definitely recommend that. And then finally I saw Wicked 2, which or whatever the hell it's Wicked for Good. And I'm sorry guys, I'm not a fan. Like, I liked the first movie fine. I found it entertaining. This one, it did not hit for me in any way. And honestly, the worst part for me was that I was like, Cynthia Erivo and Jonathan Bailey have zero chemistry. Like,
I believe when you messaged me, you said they have negative chemistry.
They do. And like, I don't know. I felt like they had more chemistry in the first film, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I just like watched just like, these are not two people who want to kiss each other. Like they don't want to have sex. These are like, I could buy them as friends maybe, but there's nothing there. Meanwhile, the girls are just like, girls, can you just like run off together, please? This is ridiculous. Like, we could have done that, but no, we've got to have the heteronormative relationship. Anyway,
gotta stay true to the stage play.
They could have just like the sexual tension is already there. Just give in to it.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I was unfortunately, I wanted to like it more than I did. I was unfortunately very unimpressed. I also think that they completely fucked up the fascism analogy. It was like it was there, and then suddenly we're more concerned about the interpersonal relationships of these three people. And again, I was just like, but like, why? You're like, oh, I want to do good. It's just like, well, you're not doing shit, are you?
Yeah. It's funny because when I watched it, and I've only watched it once, I did not watch it again. When I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed watching it, but I wasn't bowled over by it. I have barely thought about that movie since. The only time I ever think about it is when other people bring it up. And then I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, that's right. So it made zero impact on me whatsoever.
Yeah, it feels like a very nothing film. And I do think that the first one was better. Like, it was enjoyable. That one made more of an impact on me. Mm-hmm. And that's like, it feels like the first one maybe set up for all of this interesting stuff, and then the second one just didn't do anything with it. They just kept on rehashing it, and then it was over.
Yeah.
And I do have questions about the message of this movie as well. I don't know whether this is one, I haven't seen the stage play, so I don't know, like, and I haven't read the original book, so I don't know like what direction those go in, but this one felt like, so is the message that there always has to be an unattractive baddie and the good one then has to be good. It feels very weird. Like
Yeah.
I didn't like maybe it was that the message was getting so muddled around because there's so much other stuff going on. But I didn't understand, like it, I don't know, it really felt like they were like, oh, the message is that even if you're not bad, you should allow yourself to be perceived as bad for the good of the people.
Yeah. The people need a villain.
Yeah, and it
Apparently.
just happens to be this woman with green skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And not the
yeah.
beautiful blonde.
Right. Of course. Yeah, I don't know. I really think that if they wanted to, I mean, obviously they wanted to make money. That's what they do. And both of these movies made a lot of money. But I think if they wanted to make good art, then they should have just made this one movie, because each movie is the same length as the stage production, which is just, what are we doing here?
Well, and the second one, I said before we started recording, the second one felt somehow underdeveloped and yet overlong.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was just rehashing things that had happened in the first film, and yet it just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't any further development. I was just like, what is the point here?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you have a couple of toxic males in this, and it's very clear that they're toxic, but I don't think it's clear enough. Like to me watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, that dude's a problem. But then what happens to them, you're, I think, supposed to feel sorry for them. And I don't. And I don't think that gets explored enough.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched all the standard Christmas stuff too. I watched Home Alone. I watched Black Christmas. I watched the normal Christmas movies. But then I also this month we're talking about Rob Reiner, and so I watched a couple of Rob Reiner films that I haven't seen in a long time. I watched Misery, which I haven't seen in years, and it's still one of my very favorite Stephen King adaptations. Kathy Bates is so good in that movie. And then I also watched The American President, which I love, and it just made me sad because I remember when the presidency used to be something that we could all respect. And this, I think I wrote on Letterboxd, I miss the America of 90s movies. Like that version of America.
It's the dream. It's the dream. But I like that movie too. I don't think I could bring myself to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's it someday maybe we'll be there again, but I don't know. But anyway, and then I was on Letterboxd just kind of poking around, and I noticed that you had seen the same number of Hitchcock movies as I had, and I was like, well, we can't let that stand. So I watched a couple of Hitchcock movies so that I would beat you in 2025.
I knew that you were doing that. I saw it on your Letterboxd. I was just like, you know what I think? I think that she's trying to beat me. She can never beat me because I watched all the Hitchcock.
Right, but I beat you in 2025.
In 2024. So,
I won the battle, you won the war.
You can never win, Karen. You can never win. That's why I did not try to challenge you. Even though I knew what you were doing. Like I was just like, Karen's doing it. I don't like, she thinks that she can win, but she can't because I already won.
Well, I won in 2025.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Anyway, so I watched The Lady Vanishes and Downhill. Downhill I had never actually seen before. That was the first time watch for me.
That's an interesting film.
It is an interesting film. Yeah. I still don't know how I feel about it. but I liked it. I'm glad I watched it. So, but it's an interesting film. It's basically the story of these two friends who are in school, and it's 1927. One of them, well, they kind of both like this girl. One of them gets her pregnant, and the other one takes the blame for it. And he's like from this rich family, and his friend, who is the father, would get kicked out of school and lose his scholarship if it was found out. Um, so he takes the blame, and it basically sends his life going down this terrible, terrible path. And he ends up basically a male prostitute, and he ends up homeless, and there's sort of a prodigal son reunion with his dad, and it's yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I'm glad I watched it.
And I think it's made the same year as The Lodger, because that's that's the two films that he did with Ivor Novello.
Yeah. And then there's a couple, so it's Oscar season. So I've been watching some of the movies that are in the conversation this year. Marty Supreme, which is Timothy Chalamet's hope for another best actor Oscar. He plays a guy named Marty Mauser, who is based on a real person, but this movie is not a biopic about that guy. And he aspires to be the first American ping pong table tennis champion. And he grew up in kind of poor circumstances in New York, and makes a lot of bad choices, and a lot of the terrible things that happen to him, he brings on himself. And I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I went into it expecting to hate it. I thought it was going to be awful. The thing about so this is one of the Safdie brothers. The two of them have had a falling out, and they're not making movies together now, but this is Josh Safdie. And what I have come to learn about the Safdie brothers is I always admire and appreciate their work, but it's very stressful to watch.
Yeah.
And this one is no exception. It's very like, oh, it was very stressful. And you just keep going like, when is this going to get better? And you're watching somebody make all the wrong choices. And yet it was just, it was really good.
Okay.
So I would be curious to hear your thoughts about it.
I've seen so many, like I was interested to know your reaction, actually, because I've seen so many different reactions to it. Like some people are just like, I fucking hate this, and others are like, oh no, this is amazing. I generally like the Safdie brothers films. I love Uncut Gems. And speaking of stress, that is the most stressful experience I've ever had in the cinema, is going to see that movie. And I liked it, but I was like, I am so incredibly stressed out right now. But it sounds like it's a similar kind of thing, where you're like, you're bringing all of this on yourself. Like this is your fault. Like you're doing this to yourself.
Exactly. It's very similar to that.
I'm certain I will see it at some point.
Yeah. And then, I watched a bunch of stuff, but the last thing that I'm going to mention right now is it's the Tunisian submission for the Academy Awards, and it was shortlisted for the Oscars for International Feature. And that is a film called The Voice of Hind Rajab. And this is a harrowing film. And blissfully short. It's under 90 minutes. It could not have been a minute longer. It would have been too intense. But basically, this is a true story. This happened in, I want to say, January of 23. It was like a couple months after the war between Israel and Palestine started, when Israel is attacking Gaza. And there's the film is centered inside the Palestinian Red Crescent, which is basically like an emergency, like a 911 call center, basically. And they get a call from someone whose family is trapped at a gas station and being shot at. And they come to find out that the family, it's like a mom and a dad and 4 kids, and then a niece are in this van. And they end up on the phone with this little girl, Hinder Rajab. And basically her whole family is dead. She's the only one. And there's still tanks all around her. And so they use the actual emergency services calls. So you hear this girl's voice talking to the operators, but then they have actors playing the operators. So it's not a documentary, but it uses real footage. And then they also do some really interesting things, editing techniques, where they are using cell phone footage captured that day from the people inside the call center. And anyway, it's harrowing, it's heartbreaking, and it's very, very powerful. And it's one of those films that I feel like, even though it's definitely not comfortable to watch, I think people need to really understand what's been at stake in that part of the world, and to understand that you can have a point of view about who's right and who's wrong, but you can also still disagree with how things are being done. You know, you can.
Yeah, these are people, actual real people who
Yeah.
are trapped in the middle of all of this.
Right. Exactly. And oh yeah, that was a hard watch, but another one that I think everybody needs to see it and really just feel it. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway, so now I'm leaving us on a downer.
Let's segue into
Yeah. I'm just like, what else did I watch? Talk about really quick.
How are you going to segue into that, Karen? I want to know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, you know what? I will. I'm going to talk about one other international film. It was not submitted, but it's from India, and it's a film called Cactus Pears. And this is a lovely queer romance story from India that I don't know when it's going to be available here in the United States, but when it is, oh, you need to watch it. It's about this guy who, he's in his 30s. He lives with his parents in Mumbai, and his father has just passed away. He's been taking care of his father for months, and they have a whole process, a whole ceremonial process when somebody dies. And so they accompany the body back to his home village, and there's a 10-day mourning period. And so this young man and his mom are staying with family through this mourning period, and there's rules about what they can and can't do. But he reconnects with a childhood friend that he clearly has feelings for. And so the two of them either discover that they both like each other, or they rekindle something. I'm not totally clear on that, but it's just a lovely, lovely film, and I hope you get a chance to watch it.
Well, that it is going on my list, definitely.
Good. Yeah. So, all right. Well, it is the new year, and as I mentioned a little bit ago, and as we talked about in our last episode, we decided to kick this year off with a tribute to Rob Reiner. I go to Sundance at the end of January, so we're only doing 3 episodes, even though we could easily do so many more. But we've already talked before about the Princess Bride, and we'll probably have other reasons to talk about some of his other films along the way. But so for this month, we chose to start with one of the New Year movies, and that is When Harry Met Sally from 1989. I don't know about you. I first watched this movie a long time ago. I actually remember, I didn't see it in the theater, but I do remember when it was in the theater, and I remember seeing the trailers on like the commercials on TV for it. And one of the lasting impressions I have of that movie was, this guy sucks, because one of the things they showed in the trailer was when they're in the car and in the beginning of the movie, and he offers her a grape, and then he spits a seed and it hits the window. And he's like, I'll roll down the window. And I always thought that was so funny and so gross. And that guy must be awful. Yeah. Anyway, so do you remember when you first saw this movie and how you felt about it? Or
I must have been an adolescent, because I think that this was one of those that like my parents rented or something like that. And honestly, that may have been the last time I watched the movie. And I remember liking it, but not not understanding it probably. And I think that I said to you yesterday that I feel like now that I'm considerably older than I was when I first saw it, I understand the film better, and I'm actually find it more entertaining, because the whole kind of crux of the thing is, can men and women be friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has an interesting kind of take on that, because ultimately it is a romance, right? They fall in love. But so much of the film is about their friendship and the development of their friendship and the importance of that friendship in the romantic relationship that eventually develops. And that was something that, paying attention to that, and also just to kind of the permutations of their different relationships and the development of the friendship, which takes a long time to even come to happen.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, I think it's much more mature than maybe it's given credit for. So I was a little bit nervous when this movie was initially suggested, because I remember not liking it that much. And so I was like, oh, I really hope that I like it better. And then I watched, I was like, actually, yeah, I really, really do. And some of it, honestly, is that they are really annoying people. Both of them, but the film kind of makes something of that. They're meant to be annoying. He is so fucking superior. He is just explaining to her everything about human relationships, just like, you don't know shit, bro. Yeah. And she's right about it. She's just like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. It's amazing. You look like a normal person, but what's the line? I can't think of it. But you're the angel of death.
Yeah, and she's right about a number of things. And then on the other hand, she's also annoying. The whole thing of this is the exact order that I want, right? Just oh, that is so goddamn irritating. Just order the fucking pie, But at the same time, and that's I like the fact that throughout the film that deepens, and that actually becomes some of the things that they love about each other, that those annoyances, those little ridiculous elements of their personalities, and those things don't change, but they do mature and they grow up and they kind of develop a different understanding of love and of romance and of friendship, and that's eventually what leads them to each other. And I really like that in this film.
Yeah. So the movie is obviously directed by Rob Reiner. It was written by Nora Ephron, who is well known for movies like Sleepless in Seattle and Mixed Nuts, some other ones. So it follows Meg Ryan as Sally Albright, and Billy Crystal plays Harry Burns, and the two of them, they don't know each other at the beginning of the movie. He's dating her college roommate, and they're leaving Chicago, the University of Chicago, and going to New York City. And so they're riding together and in her car. And so basically their first encounter is in the late 70s, and it's over the course of this 18-hour road trip. And they talk, they fight, they get really annoyed at each other. They have this whole conversation about men and women can't be friends. She thinks that they can. He insists that they can't, because one of them always wants to sleep with the other. And so that leads to a whole conversation, which we can come back to. And then they part ways and just go about, living their lives. And then we catch up with them again in 5 years, and he's getting married. She just started a new relationship. They're both in their careers. They run into each other at the airport and end up on the same flight together and talk. And then that's kind of it. So it's just this one day of travel, and then they go their separate ways again. They reconnect again 6 years later. And that is where they really start to become friends and eventually fall in love. So yeah. Where should we start? So I think like just starting with this road trip and some of the conversations that they have on the road. First of all, one thing that they talk about a lot is Casablanca. Throughout this entire movie, they talk about Casablanca a lot and they argue over it. And I was actually thinking, as you were saying, that you didn't remember liking it, but you like this movie a lot more as you've gotten older. And I was thinking about Sally, not that she didn't like Casablanca, but how when you see something at one point in your life and then you watch it again years later, you experience things totally differently and you see things so differently. So in the beginning of the movie, she's got this whole thing about how Ingrid Bergman gets on the plane because she knows that she doesn't want to be stuck with some guy in a bar in Casablanca. And later she's like, what? I would never say this. She didn't, so yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I really like that. I like how the film shows this kind of development of understanding of relationships and through something like Casablanca, right? And so yeah, so like she starts out with like, no, of course she should have gone with Paul Heinrich, and but on the other hand, his attitude is exactly the wrong one as well. It's just like, no, she says she should have stayed with Humphrey Bogart because obviously it's the best sex she's ever had. He's like focused on the sexual aspects of that relationship, and if you watch Casablanca, they're in love with each other, right? That's part
it's
of
way
it. It's
deeper than sex.
Yeah, it's this love that is being sustained and that is so strong as well that they end up having to give that up for the good of the nation, like for the good of the future of humanity, essentially. And that's part of the story is being willing to sacrifice that, is them knowing that they love each other and still having to separate. But I do like how that like conversation about that film is also reflective of the changing attitudes that the two of them have about relationships and as a result of their own experiences. So, so they meet when they're just graduated college, right? And they're moving to New York. But then like he goes through a marriage and a divorce. He, he's hung up on his ex-wife. He keeps on having these basically meaningless relationships with women, except for with Sally, because he can actually talk to her. They can actually have conversations with each other and be connected to each other. And there's this whole argument that goes on, about this, can men and women just be friends? And they keep changing their minds about it. Like, he says, well, yes, they can, but only if they're both in relationships. Right. And that's at the point where they're both in relationships. And then they're both not in relationships and they are friends. Their friendship develops, and he in fact apologizes to her a couple of times for his earlier behavior. And I like how the film sort of shows that evolving understanding of the characters through what they've experienced. And it's very clever as well, because you're not seeing them, over the course of 12 years. You're seeing them for like 5 years, and then we're jumping forward another 5 years. We're jumping forward 6 years. We're jumping forward several months. Right. And we still see this development that's happened in their characterizations and in their relationship without seeing everything that comes in the middle of that. Like, we only meet his ex-wife like once, but we know how important she is and how he reacted to their divorce and their separation and all of those things that we kind of know about him. And we know and then we see how he's affected by seeing his ex-wife again. And it all makes sense. It's very well done and very humorously done as well.
Yeah. What I find really fascinating too is that this movie does so much in only an hour and a half. It's not a long movie
Yeah.
either. And so it moves, but it's deep too. It's not just a funny rom-com. It's actually really meaningful and really takes you through some emotional journeys too. That scene where he runs into his ex-wife, because of how much time we've spent hearing him, working through that, because of, talking to his best friend, played by Bruno Kirby, about what happened and that his wife cheated on him and lied to him. And she said that she wanted a separation, but she really moved in with somebody else. And so by the time we meet her, like, this woman is a villain. And she comes walking onto the screen like a villain and just so smug. And it's just like, what is your problem, lady? Like, you're the one that left him. Why are you acting all high and mighty? Like, it's just so weird. But we're feeling what he's feeling because of it, It's great.
I really like the scene following that, where they're in their friend's apartment, like the two of them have just moved in together.
Jess and Marie.
Yeah. And like he's basically having a breakdown. And at one point, I think he says to Sally, like, she looked terrible, didn't she? She was like, and Sally's like, I've never met this woman before. Just like, I don't know. I have no idea. Just like, oh, she did. She like looks like she looks like
she's retaining water.
Yeah, like, just like, I have no idea.
Yeah, like he just needs something to lash out about. And
and it's very, like, again, it's very well done, and it gives us all of this. I think one of the reasons why this film has been so timeless, like, it's still kind of referenced as one of the great romantic comedies. It gives us all of this information about the characters and makes us care about them without, like, by only showing us like sections of their lives, right? It isn't going through, a week in the life or anything like that. We're seeing this whole kind of spectrum of what has happened to them over the course of more than a decade. Yeah. And we understand them and we sympathize with them and we see where they're coming from and how they have developed. And then within all of that is that central relationship and the friendship that develops between Harry and Sally, which then makes, like I said earlier, it makes sense of the romantic relationship they eventually have, because it is about friendship. It is about being able to talk to each other and want to be around each other. That isn't based in, I want to have sex with you or I find you attractive, but is based in, an actual emotional connection that they have had through friendship.
Yeah. Well, and that's so it's about a couple of different friendships. And I think one of the beautiful things about the one between Harry and Sally is the point is that it's very different. Like, the conversations they have aren't the conversations they can have with their same-sex friends. So, yeah. Yeah. And when they start to become friends, they're both at a point in their lives where they're not interested in being with anybody. Like, they've both come through really horrible breakups and they're not looking for romance anywhere. And that's why they're able to bond as friends, because neither of them wants the sex part right now. And then when they start to be interested in dating again, now their friendship is platonic and they're not looking at each other that way. And so the friends, I think so when we catch up with them, when it's been now 11 years since college, we see Sally. She's out with two of her girlfriends, Marie and Alice. Marie is played by Carrie Fisher, and Marie is somebody who she dates a lot of married men. She's currently dating someone, and she's whining that he and his wife just spent $1,600 on a new coffee table or a new dining room table. He's never gonna leave her. And then Sally reveals the news that she and her boyfriend Joe just broke up after 6 years, but she's doing fine. She's fine. She's over him. It's okay. And Marie's like, okay, let's get you back out there, and pulls out her Rolodex. And her friend Alice, who is married and has kids, they're telling the story about a guy who got divorced, I think, and then like died 6 months later. and and so then Sally is just like, what, I'm supposed to just marry somebody in case he's about to die? And then her friend Alice is like, well, at least then you can say you were married. So they just have this very specific view of like, you gotta get together with somebody. It's better than nothing, you know.
It's a very interesting, very 1980s kind of attitude, particularly from women, because you've got, particularly in that period, the biological clock thing.
Yeah.
Which is still, it still seems to exist in our day and age, but less so. But this whole idea about like, you only have you only have a certain limited amount of time to get married and have children. You have to do, but also the ridiculousness of that is like, well, at least you could say you were married. It's just like, what?
Yeah. Like why?
Why? Yeah, exactly. But it's something that keeps on coming up, particularly in Sally's narrative of like, and she reveals at one point that one of the reasons why her and her boyfriend broke up is because she was spending time with Alice's kids and just had this moment of, I want to have a family. And she goes back and she tells her boyfriend this, and he's like, I don't. Right? Like this was something that they had agreed on. And then later she finds out that he's getting married. And so the breakdown then becomes, that he did want to get married, just not to her. And all of that, I think I like the kind of emotional complexity of that, because it's realizing that this relationship that she had that meant a lot to her was just something that it wasn't going to work out, right? They did want different things, but it wasn't even like an existential desire. Is like what was really going on is that he didn't want to have children with her. He didn't want to have a family with her, and she did. And I like it. It just kind of, it helps to make those elements that much more complex, because it is about individuals as well. You've got this whole cultural pressure. You have to get, particularly on women, you have to get married. You have to have children. You have to, particularly in the 1980s, you have to be like the career woman and the super mom at the same time. But then you got to really boil it down to like, but what about actually wanting to be with somebody? Like, what about actually having someone that you want to have a family with? Or not to have a family with, what does that ultimately look like? And so you got the Carrie Fisher character, who is hilariously constantly having affairs with married men. And I just don't think he's going to leave his wife. They're like, no one thinks he's going to leave his wife. No one has ever thought he was going to leave his wife. Well, I really don't think he's going to. You're right. He's not. And then she meets and falls in love.
Hold on really quickly before we go there. I just wanted to say one other thing about Joe, Sally's boyfriend. So just like with Helen, Harry's ex-wife, we only meet Joe once too, and that is in the scene at the airport when Sally and Harry reconnect and then they end up on the same plane. She's just started dating Joe, and Joe knows Harry. They were neighbors or something. And just in that scene, unlike with Helen, who just has this weird smugness about her, Joe isn't like that, but you can just tell watching the two of them together that this is not a relationship that's meant to be. Like she's asking him questions. They're 3 weeks in or a month into their relationship. She's asking him questions. She's like trying to, be thoughtful and philosophical and asking him about like, does he think men and women can be friends? And he's just like looking down at his phone or whatever and totally not paying any attention to her. And he's barely answering her. And it's like, yeah, this is a new relationship and these two are not evenly matched.
Yeah, they're not at the same place, and then we're told that relationship lasts for like 6 years.
Yeah. But that makes sense about Sally, because she's someone that would just at that point in her life keep something going. And for like when she's talking about when she and Harry first go out to dinner and they're talking about the breakdowns of their relationships, and she's talking about how he would say things like, isn't this great? We could just fly off to Rome on a moment's notice, or we could have sex on the kitchen floor. And And then she's like, the thing is, we never did fly off to Rome on a moment's notice. And so he's telling her all these great things about their, their perfect free life. And she's just going along with it until she got to a point where she couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Jess and Marie. So on the other side of the friendships, we have Harry and his friend Jess, who is a writer. And I love the two of them too. Like they're guys and they talk like guys do. And there's a hilarious scene where Harry is trying to describe that he and Sally have become just friends and that's all it is. And they're at the batting cages. And he's explaining, like, I can talk to her about things that I can't talk to you about. And then there's this kid that's like, it's my turn, like trying to get into the batting cage. And then Harry yells at this kid, and then he goes back to Jess and he's like, where was I? And Jess is like, you were growing. Oh yeah. But the point of that scene is that, like, these are two guys, and the type of conversation that they have about relationships and what this friendship means and stuff is very different from the conversations that he has with Sally. And that's why eventually this relationship grows. But even if it doesn't, even if they only ever stay friends, it's a really important relationship for the both of them. And that is why they decide to introduce their two best friends to each other. So they go on a double date. Sally is introducing Harry to Marie, and Harry brings along Jess for Sally. And it's one of those great scenes where they're at dinner, they're having these conversations, they're not into each other. But then Jess and Marie hit it off. What are your thoughts about this scene?
I love that because it's quite obvious, just like these people are not compatible, but these two are very compatible. And yeah, it's one of those, like, there's that instant chemistry. But I also like the fact, because we know those little things about Marie at that point, right? And she grows as well. She's like, oh, this guy who's like not married, who is available, who is intelligent and likes her and she likes, and like they just have chemistry with each other. And I really like that. I like that kind of secondary relationship that develops between the two of them. And like, I love the scene where Harry calls Jess, and it's right after Harry and Sally have had sex, and Sally calls Marie, and the two of them are talking on the phone at the same time. Just like, oh my God, they slept together. Oh my God. And Marie's
it's
like,
such a well-written scene and so well performed.
It's so well performed. It's also so like one of the things I like throughout this film is that there are like a good bit of throwbacks to kind of the classic rom-coms. So the sort of split screen, they're lying in the same bed but not really sort of look. That kind of thing, like that comes from a lot of like the Rock Hudson Doris Day movies and like films from the 1940s and 50s. And I like the fact that this film has those callbacks without it being just a rehash of those movies. But yeah, it's very funny, and it's also, again, showing that kind of the complexity and the growth of human relationships. You've got these two people who one of them is like just in a constant repetition of the same relationship with all these different men, and they meet each other. They're like, oh, we're perfect for each other. Let's get married, let's move in together. And it's really sweet. And I also like the fact that relationship is never punctured, right? She doesn't go off and have affairs, he's not having an affair, they are just kind of together, they found each other. And it's a different relationship to the one that Harry and Sally have, but it's just as meaningful.
Yeah. I love the scene when after dinner, when they're walking down the street, and and Maria's asking, like, so are you gonna talk to Jess? Like, I don't know, I kind of like him. And Jess is talking to Harry, like, hey, so if you don't think you're gonna go out with Marie, do you mind if I call her? And yeah, but they're really vulnerable right now. Okay, yeah, I'll wait. And then they hop in the cab and that's it. And then Harry and Sally are just standing on the street, like, okay, then. And I think it's funny because in that, well, I mean, the whole scene is funny, but just in a relationship sense too, they're each trying to protect each other from getting their feelings hurt and from being, damaged further because of what they've been going through. But it turns out that both of them are fine with this. Like, yeah, they're just kind of like, oh, okay. So, but I like that they're trying to protect each other. I think it's really sweet. So then, of course, after years of months of real friendship, one night, Harry's at home and Sally calls and says, can you come over? Joe's getting married. And she's sobbing, and he shows up and they talk, and then they have sex. And then they're kind of not sure what to do after that, because at this point, what do you do? And there's even a scene where Harry's talking to Jess about it later, and he's just like, yeah, we already know each other's stories, like we didn't know what to do afterwards. And then of course this really kind of messes up their friendship. And I sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, there are a couple of things about that, because one of the things that we know about Harry is that he is constantly leaving, right? So he sleeps with a lot of women, but he's not getting into deep relationships with any of them. And he even tells Sally, like, he leaves in the morning, right? He doesn't stay over. And that this is like, that's not what he wants, right? And you've got this relationship also that what I like is that it's not just that they suddenly fall into bed with each other. There's been throughout this attraction that is developed between them. And you see like little bits of it, like the first New Year's that we see them together. They're dancing, and there's just this moment where both of them are obviously realizing that they have other feelings for each other.
Oh yeah, the song that's playing is Lover. What is that song? I can't think of it, but anyway, it's about basically like, can two people that are friends fall in love?
Yeah. And so they're connecting. They're like, kind of seeing each other dating other people, and they're like, oh, I don't really like that. Like, I'm going to find everything that's wrong with him, or I'm going to find everything that's wrong with her. So they have this attraction and this desire, and they're beginning to fall in love with each other before they really know or are willing to admit it. Yeah. So I like the fact that that's how it develops. It isn't just this sudden, like she's vulnerable, he's supportive, and suddenly it's like, oh, now they're going to have sex. It's like, no, this has been developing for a while, right?
Yeah, we see it way before they do.
Yeah, and it's been there, and I like that, because it would have been so easy to sort of make it more superficial, but it isn't superficial. Like, there is something going on between the two of them, and they shouldn't have slept together. It happened at the wrong time, or it happened in a way that wasn't thoughtful enough, etc. But it's definitely something that has been coming, as it were.
Yeah. Well, Marie even said, and Jess, I think, when they call them the next day, and it's like, oh, good, it's about time, like this needed to happen. Oh wait, like, oh, maybe this isn't a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I think the real problem there with both of them is that after a year of talking about everything and being completely vulnerable with each other, now the most vulnerable thing has happened between them, and they don't talk about it. They go out to dinner that night. Yeah. They meet, and they're both prepping for this dinner, and she's like, I'm going to say it was a mistake. And he's like, it was a mistake. I'm going to say it was a mistake, but I hope she says it first. And so then she does say it, and he's like, oh, I'm so glad you agree too. And that is not what she wanted to hear. Yeah. And that is where things go wrong. And because they don't just talk about the fact that they do have feelings for each other, that they are attracted to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they don't talk at all for a few weeks. And then it's Jess and Marie's wedding. And Jess has that great toast to Harry and Sally. If Marie or I had found either of you remotely attractive, we would not be here today. Thanks, guys. Thanks. So sweet. Did you know about the original ending for this movie?
I didn't know.
Yeah, so a while back, I think like a year or so ago, Rob Reiner actually gave an interview where he talked about how this movie originally had a much different ending. So he had been divorced. So he married Penny Marshall, and they were married for about 10 years, and then they got divorced. And so at the time that he made this movie, he'd been divorced for a long time. He was feeling very cynical and bitter. And so originally, the film was supposed to end with Harry and Sally not working things out, not talking to each other, and then just reconnecting again a couple years later, saying hello, and then going their separate ways. Sort of a what's the movie with Robert Redford and Barbara Streisand?
The Way We Were?
Yes, sort of like that. And then he met Michelle while they were making this movie, and it completely changed his outlook on love and relationships and gave him hope. And so they changed the ending and decided that Harry and Sally needed to get together.
Aww.
And yeah.
I mean,
I know.
I mean, that's the natural ending to the film. I think it would have been very dissatisfying, given everything, if the two of them didn't end up together. Because it would, I mean, those kinds of endings, those bittersweet endings can work in romantic comedies, and stuff like The Way We Were is one of those, but it wouldn't have worked on this one. Not the way that they developed that relationship.
Exactly. Like the two of them, but when they finally get together, you feel it and you're like, yes, okay.
Yeah.
This isn't the way that this should have happened, but this needs to happen. And I guess, in a way, these two needed to kind of be jolted out of their complacency, and that's what happened. And so it's such a beautiful ending. And then when he comes rushing into the New Year's Eve party where she's getting ready to leave because she's so sad because she's alone, and then he gives that beautiful speech, which apparently Billy Crystal wrote. And I'm going to put it in as the stinger for this episode, spoiler alert. But it's just such a great moment, and it's just such a perfect ending to this movie. I love it.
Yeah, it's lovely, and it's also, he's saying that, and I like that he says, like, it's not because it's New Year's Eve, it's not because I'm alone, it's because I want this to start immediately. Yeah. Like he's realized that he's in love with her, and that's what he wants. And it's a moment of emotional honesty for his character as well, and he's had struggled so much to be emotionally honest throughout the film, and he's finally being like, no, I'm in love with you, like that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I've been thinking, and the thing is, I'm in love with you. You can't just say that. You can't just come here and say that. Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah, it's a really good ending. And I like all of the different couples, like throughout the film, that we see the little interviews, like how they met and how they fell in love and when they got married. And some of them are like high school sweethearts who've been together for 50 years, and others who like were married and then divorced and then got remarried. And like, I like all of those different permutations of relationships and
how people met.
And the optimism of it too, like as well, because it is a very optimistic film in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Any other thoughts?
I think we haven't mentioned Cat's Delicatessen. I don't know. I don't know whether did you get to go to Cat's when you were in New York? It is an experience, definitely. and of course Rob Reiner's mother was the one who
Estelle Reiner.
says, who says I'll have what she's having. It's a great scene. And actually in Cats, yes, there is a sign above the table that they were sitting at. So like I said, this is where Harry met Sal. And I will say though, like that, so it's representing her eating a turkey sandwich. And I think that's an insane thing to order at Cat's Delicatessen. You have to order the pastrami.
But everything Sally orders is insane.
It's insane. Like she's deconstructing the sandwich. That's the other thing. I was watching. I was just like, you're taking the meat off of your sandwich. What is happening right now?
She wants everything on the side. Oh, that's something else I wanted to talk about is the conversation about low maintenance and high maintenance.
Yes, you're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance.
Yeah, you're the worst kind. Ingrid Bergman, now she's low maintenance. What do you mean? And yeah, and she is. Sally is very high maintenance, but she just likes it the way she likes it.
And to give her credit, she doesn't force it on other people. It's not like she makes other people eat the way that she eats. She's just demanding about how she wants it the way she wants it. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing that I think is funny. You're right. She does not force other people to order that way or to eat that way. But she also doesn't seem to understand that it's weird because like when she's ordering, the first time we see this happen at that diner on the drive from Chicago to New York, and she's talking to the waitress as if this is the completely normal thing to do. I want I want pie a la mode, but only if you have this ice cream and not that ice cream. But if you don't have that, then I'll have whipped cream. But if you don't have real whipped cream, then I don't want anything. Not the pie. Well, no, I want the pie, but then I don't want it heated. What are we doing? And she's just acting like this is a normal way to order.
In a diner,
right?
In a diner too. Like he orders, I'll have a number 3,
yeah.
You know. And she's like, and that waitress is just like, oh my god.
Yeah. And well, and that particular ordering style is what unlocks Harry's memory when they're on the plane, because he hears her ordering like not a Bloody Mary, but a drink that has like just a splash of Bloody Mary mix and all that. And like she's so particular, and that's where he's like, wait a second, I know this girl. Yep. So if she didn't order like that, she may never have gotten together with Harry.
See, exactly. And even at the very end when they talk about the coconut cake, and they make certain to have the chocolate sauce on the side because you can't. Some people like it, have it on the cake, but the coconut absorbs it.
And he's explaining this as if like now he's become very like, I get it, it's fine.
Yes, he understands. He knows how she's going to order, and that's okay.
Yep. Oh, good times.
It is a lovely film. It is. And I do think that I certainly feel like it's been enriched being a little bit older and being like, okay, yeah, this is how human relationships do work. Yeah. Yeah. It really helps to have some life experience to fully appreciate this movie. And it's one that grows, like I've always liked it, but it grows on me more every time I see it. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our first episode of 2026. Next week, we're going back to the 70s. We will be talking about This Is Spinal Tap. So definitely come back for that. Yay. Yeah. And we just want to thank everybody for listening. We especially want to thank our patrons who help keep the show going and keep it ad-free. They are Abby, Audra, Brian, Connor, Estefania, Ferdinand, Heather, James, Judy, Carriotta, Matt, Michelle, MK, Monty, Nanina, Noel, Robert, Roxy, Steve, and Sharon. If you'd like to join them and become a patron too, you can go to patreon.com/citizendame and sign up. And then you get early access to our episodes, you get bonus series, and some other fun things along the way too. You can also support us through our Ko-Fi. We are ko-fi.com/citizendame. And then there's other ways to connect with us. You can email us, citizendamepod@gmail.com. Visit our website,
which is in the process of being overhauled and updated big time. We had some technical issues over the last couple of months, but I think they're finally totally resolved now. So, citizendamepod.com. And you can also find us on social media on Instagram and Blue Sky. We are at Citizen Dame Pod, and we are a letterboxed HQ at Citizen Dame. And you can reach out to us individually. Lauren, where are you?
I am on Instagram and Letterboxd at LH Business.
And I am on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd at Karen M. Peterson. So that is it. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
I'm sorry, Harry. I know it's New Year's Eve. I know you're feeling lonely, but you just can't show up here, tell me you love me, and expect that to make everything all right. It doesn't work this way.
Well, how does it work?
I don't know, but not this way.
How about this way? I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich. I love that you get a little crinkle above your nose when you're looking at me like I'm nuts. I love that after I spend a day with you, I can still smell your perfume on my clothes. And I love that you are the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep at night. And it's not because I'm lonely, and it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
You see? That is just like you, Harry. You say things like that and you make it impossible for me to hate you. And I hate you, Harry. I really hate you.